The Bible says, be not deceived. Whatsoever a man soweth, that shall he also reap.
All right, it's 4 p.m. on Wall Street. Do you know where your money is?
How much should I invest?
I really looking for some direction.
Should I hold on to my house as an investment for my future?
What should we do to have money that we're putting aside?
Welcome to Financial Issues, where we align reality with truth. Conservative talk radio you can count on. Financial issues that you need to know.
We face a disintegrating economy, a weakened defense, and an energy policy based on the sharing of scarcity. We will simply apply to government the common sense that we all use in our daily lives.
Now, here's your host, Dan Celia.
Good morning. Welcome back to American Family Radio Network Financial Issues. I'm Dan Celia. It's great to be here. 866-300-9298. That's our call-in line. I want to remind all of our partners on the website, we'll be doing a conference call today at 12 o'clock Central Time. You can go to the website to find out how to connect if you've got some questions that you want to answer, get an answer to, or maybe you've got some detail, a little bit more detail that you would like to get into as far as question goes. Hear a totally unedited answer, since we'll be on a conference call. So you can check that out at financialissues.org, but that's today. I only tell you that because it was going to be scheduled for tomorrow, and we had to change that to today. So if you're a partner with me, I hope you'll join me. Anyway, looks like the Dow ended up down yesterday, 50 points, give or take. NASDAQ was down 8, and the S&P down 8 as well. Right now, the markets are relatively mixed in early trading. Stock futures are apparently struggling with some confidence data that is ahead. Of course, you know that we get some confidence numbers coming out at 10 o'clock, I think 10 o'clock, coming out later on this morning during the program. So, of course, we'll report on those. So we've got a lot of that going on, and that's got something to do with what we're seeing as far as the futures. There's also some concern over the debt ceiling debate, as there should be. Negotiations, recent comments by the Federal Reserve, some of the Federal Reserve officials weighing on investors. I don't know if you heard Dallas Fed President Fisher yesterday, but some great comments coming out of him. Obviously, it's very obvious when you listen to Mr. Fisher. It's pretty obvious he will not be on, and has no desire, by the way, to be get another term, have another term there on as Fed president. So anyway, interesting stuff as we look through some of that data. Home data prices, consumer confidence, again, are ahead, and that's one of the things. We've also, we've got a number of Fed officials traveling about the country speaking, and people want to hear what they've got to say, at least traders anyway. Oil is moving down. Of course, the president is possibly entering into conversations with Iran, as if that's going to do any good. Iran being smart enough to play the same card that North Korea played. Hey, let's talk as much as we possibly can. As long as we continue to talk, we will stall for time. We won't have inspectors crawling all over the place. And before you know it, we'll have nuclear weapons they won't be able to do anything about. And that's exactly how it's going to play out. Mark my words. I'm not trying to be a prophet or a predictor of doom, but trust me, that's exactly how it's going to play out. And but yet we got snowed into thinking it was going to be different during the North Korean conversations. And here we go again, because we have an administration that believes that we can talk everybody into submission. Peace through talk. Peace through negotiations. Peace through believing all the folks that hate us and that continue and have always lied to us. But we'll do that. That's entering in UN. Lots of things going on in the UN. If you're in traffic in New York, not a good place to be right now in New York. There are dictators running all over the place with lots of security and holding up traffic with all of their vehicles and all those kinds of things. So anyway, all that's going on in the wonderful government of the UN that this president we know embraces and appreciates. Gold's headed for the third straight day of declines. Let's take a look. Gold is not doing well, by the way. Gold right now is at 1317. We could see it breaking the 1300 mark, and we could see it down below 1300 before the end of the day at the rate we're going. The good news is, as far as commodities go, oil is down to 102.71. It's made a pretty significant move here in the last few minutes. But oil is at 102.71. That is good news. Let's see if we can break 100, get down to that low 90 range again here before Thanksgiving. That would be nice. That will have an impact on gas prices. There is a possibility that Egypt could pick up production again here, according to rumors. And Iran, of course, trying to negotiate a lifting of the sanctions. If that happened, that could add about 1 million barrels of oil a day into the world markets. That also would lower prices. At what cost is the real question there. Commodities, agricultural commodities, all in negative territory this morning. Corn is at $452.75. It's down 50 cents. Live cattle is about the only agriculture. Cotton is up too, but live cattle is up slightly. But corn, wheat, other agriculture commodities in negative territory as we speak. And Dow futures are looking to be about flat. So we'll wait and see how that shakes out. If you got a question for me, you can weigh in 866-300-9298. We took a lot of calls yesterday. We're going to try to do the same. 866-300-9298. Also, a cruise missile has hit the Senate floor again. Speaking of Ted Cruz, of course. So looks like the Senate floor is getting hit by another cruise missile. They're not too happy about that. And we've got some prominent Republicans. There's a surprise. Mitch McConnell, of course, the minority leader in the Senate, is encouraging people to vote against Ted Cruz's proposal. Corlin, also he is the minority whip, also encouraging, we got to, vote against this Ted Cruz. It's amazing, isn't it? And McConnell's coming up for re-election in November. And here's the worst part. This is a guy that has been maybe not quite as quick on the draw with pulling out his white flag and running up the flagpole as Boehner, but pretty close. He's another one that carries around with him at all times the white flag, ready to surrender at any signs of conflict or anything that might make sense for the American people or the Republic of America. They love the white flag. They love to talk. They love talking points. They just don't want to have any confrontation. Oh, listen, we've got to get campaign funds, and we've got to make everybody happy. And well, I understand we're supposed to stand for America, but sometimes you just can't. But Mitch McConnell there in Kentucky will likely get reelected, because that seems to be the way it goes, and of course he knows that. The only thing that's going to change Washington is if guys like Mitch McConnell get thrown out. But not likely to happen. That will change Washington, by the way. But we'll see if the people of Kentucky can raise up enough energy to do that. To be able to look the other way at all the money McConnell's going to be spending in order to make sure he gets reelected. And look at other candidates put forward, letting the other candidates know you too go against the American people and your constituency in Kentucky, you're out as well. Not likely to happen. But that's what's happening right now. The cruise missile not taken too well right now. And I'll tell you something. You got to love Ted Cruz. Because in the face of all odds, the only thing that I have against Ted Cruz is I can't get him on the program. I probably should have before he started to go to Fox News 3 times a day. Now he's... I've had Mike Lee and others, but Ted's not going to do my program for one reason or another. But nevertheless, you got to love a Ted Cruz who has the guts to stand up for what he knows to be right. Stand up against his own party while the Republicans do what they do best, fight against their own. We wouldn't fight against the progressives or the liberals, but man, can we fight against those stinking Tea Party people, right? That's how they feel. Oh, they can stand up. They can stand up against their own. They just can't do much against the progressives or the liberals. Anyway, that's what's happening. Very interesting article coming out yesterday about quantitative easing exposure. It talks about something I've been talking about for a very long time. As a matter of fact, the numbers in this article I do not believe are right, but even if they are, it's disturbing. It's talking about the Fed now owns more treasuries and mortgage-backed securities than publicly held debt held by any other country. Well, I've been saying that. How long have I been saying that? I don't know. Some of you can tell me how long I've been saying that. What, 3 years? And they're saying they now hold $3.3 trillion. It's going to be $4 trillion by the end of the year. Here's the thing. I don't believe that. Because when about 4 years ago, maybe not that long ago, 3 years ago, I don't remember, Bloomberg and Fox News, Fox Business, filed, it was primarily Bloomberg that filed Freedom of Information Act papers. It took them a year to get it because they kept fighting and resisting, and finally got information on the Fed that said that they had lent $7 trillion to foreign entities. At the time I said, if they're saying 7, it's probably 14. The Federal Reserve has an enormous amount of debt, well into the trillions. Now, we can't honestly say that that is all taxpayer money. We can about the $4 trillion that they're going to have, and rising, by the way, as they continue quantitative easing. The accounting sheet that was released indicated that it had already accumulated more treasuries and mortgage-backed securities than the total value of the public held U.S. government debt amassed by the U.S. presidents George Washington through Bill Clinton. Wow. And we keep saying China's got all our debt. Listen, this isn't about China. China's got what, 1.1, 1.2 trillion? We've got a Fed that's reporting, I emphasize the word reporting. We've got a Fed that is reporting $4 trillion. Oh, well. 866-300-9298. I was talking about Ted Cruz. I don't agree. I agree pretty much with everything that Ted Cruz is standing for. I can't say the same about Rand Paul, though I like Rand Paul, and I appreciate his guts and backbone to stand up for what is right, and I appreciate that a great deal about Rand Paul. Rand Paul is talking about putting forth an amendment to the Constitution. Yes, an amendment to the Constitution that basically is arguing that all federal workers should not get special treatment. Rand Paul says he does not want taxpayer subsidizing the personal health care plans of any federal employee, including Justice Roberts. He goes on to say, since Justice Roberts likes Obamacare so much, he ought to be enrolling in the exchanges like everybody else. We'll see how far that goes. And if, in fact, he puts up this amendment, we need to make sure that we back it 100%, and we really need to keep tabs on how many other Republicans back it. You're listening to American Family Radio Network, Financial Issues.
James and